Rex. I count 6 shots.
Bustin' out the bando. A nigga jury real metal like a candle. I went from rad to riches to a 50.
Yo, what is going down, y'all? Welcome in the most underrated podcast, man. The homie Dow Palantonio sitting across from me, the most silent man in podcast history, JJ in the corner running the cameras, doing all the behind-the-scenes technical work for us here. Welcome in, man. Dow, how was your weekend, bro?
Pretty lame, actually, man.
Why?
Didn't have much going on, to be honest with you. I kind of relaxed, been working a lot last week. Did a date night on Saturday, though, so that was cool. We went to the Highlands, which is a certain part of the city, downtown Denver. Went up to Old Major, had some cocktails, had some nice pork, and called it a day.
Did you work and stuff like that, or?
What's that?
Did you work or anything like that, or?
Yeah, man, worked most of the weekend, unfortunately.
Cop anything? Cop any sneakers? Get anything important? Do any of that stuff? I didn't. I had a nice birthday weekend. I'll get into that in a second. Nice. But I see some Kith Coke sandals sitting over here next to me. All of a sudden, you walk in. I'm sitting here. You just plop these on the table in front of me. Tell me about these things. Let me see these things.
Yeah, for sure. Grab them, man. Yeah, so Kith, obviously, we talked about it in one of the first podcasts that we did. They did a collab with Coke. Coke, obviously, one of the most recognizable brands on the planet. And
they smell new.
Yeah, for sure.
That, I don't even know what smell this is. It's like almost like a Payless shoe store. You know how Payless just smells like cheap rubber? That's how these smell.
They don't smell like the Payless BOGO?
Dude, these do. It smells like you're walking into a Payless. Totally smells like a Payless shoe source.
Hey, smells like home.
Is that your spot?
Oh, man. Payless. Go with the
BOGOs.
BOGOs.
Nice material on the inside, too, though.
Oh, yeah. It's really nice, man. They did a great job with these guys.
What'd you pay for these?
I believe retail was $30 or $32, so you throw a little shipping on there. Pretty traditional. I think like if you got Reef sandals or Volcom sandals, you're going to be about the $20 anyways. So
for sure. I'm surprised, honestly, they weren't taxing more on these.
Yeah,
you didn't have to pay resale, though?
No. And you know what? These actually took quite a while to sell out, it seemed like, that day on the launch. They sold out that day, but, man, these sat for at least half the day. So
look at that glue just caked up on the inside here.
I know. Well, and there's also some blemishes and misses already on them, if you can't tell.
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of a bummer,
same thing on the Coke stuff.
But here's the deal. Next year, Waterworld, here I come.
You want to see it? What do you expect? $30 sandals.
Yeah, no doubt,
you know what I mean?
No.
It's just the way it is. No, my weekend was cool, man. I was able to, my birthday's on Tuesday, probably the day you're listening to this podcast, actually. So for today is my birthday, I guess, for you guys. Basically, I got together with some friends. We did what's called an escape room. You ever done one of those?
Oh, yeah.
Where you're in that room, and it's just clues. You have to piece together all these different clues to try to get out of the room. We shit the bed first class. I mean, it was bad, dude. And it's 4 pretty smart people in there, but we did so bad, bro. It was honestly embarrassing. And we went at 8:45 at night. I smoked a little weed before I went, which I probably shouldn't have done.
It's not good.
But I thought, it'd open up the creativity a little bit. And I don't necessarily think that was why we did bad. All of us did bad. I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's just we overlooked all the little simple things. Now, when we first signed up, when you sign up for an escape room, it doesn't tell you what the difficulty is. It just tells you about each room. Okay. So then once we did it, the lady told us that was the second hardest room in the place. So it made me feel a little bit better.
Sure.
But honestly, it's not a situation where if you put a guy with average intelligence in there and then you put Steve Jobs or someone super, super smart in there, I don't really feel like you're going to get the smart guy is necessarily going to do that much better than the average guy, because it's so much more of just common sense and leaving no stone unturned, if you will. You know what I mean? Not overlooking anything. And we overlooked everything.
Did you?
Yeah, we just, and after they give you the clues, you feel like such an idiot.
Right.
Because you're like, oh my God, I need a clue here. I can't figure this out. Then she tells you the clue and you're like, damn it. This was so
simple.
obvious.
Right.
Just look inside the box, pull all the shit out of the safe. We left stuff in. It was just bad.
So what I would say about those is, I've done a couple, and I usually do them for my team builders, right, as exercises. They're kind of great. But what I found out is it's really hard to get started. You just get in this room, and it's like you're overwhelmed because there's a lot of things, and you know that you have to really look at everything. But that takes a lot of time to do that. So kind of narrowing that down and having kind of certain people look at certain things and divvying that out, it can be complex, man.
We definitely should have asked for a clue sooner. Speaking to what you just said, getting started is very hard.
It's very hard.
We should have just asked for a clue right off the bat, because ours was like a prison break situation. So we started out in 2 prison cells. There was 4 of us. 2 of us were in one cell. 2 of us were in another cell right next to each other, so we could talk and hear each other.
Yeah.
But we were just each kind of looking around in our cells, and the clue she gave us was two of you in this cell have something that the other two need. So we had to try to figure that out. So we're looking around our cell, we're talking to each other saying, okay, this is what we have over here. This is what you got. What do you guys have over there? And we're trying to figure out, and we spent entirely too long in the beginning. But nonetheless, man, it was a fun time. It was cool. Nice. If you've never done an escape room, it is a great team builder. If you're a manager of any retail, or if you're a manager of some kind of business and you have a bunch of employees, or maybe you're just an employee and your company's looking for a team builder, look up escape rooms, man. It's a cool thing to get your team together to do something cool, or even if you guys just want to go do something on a Friday night with friends. It's a cool thing to do. I really enjoyed it. I was pretty mad because I'm competitive, so I was pretty mad that we didn't do better. You get an hour in there. I think the fastest time someone did ours was like 38 minutes or something. We didn't even get done within the hour. We went a little over the hour. Our timer went off. They were like, oh, time's up. She's like, do you guys want to finish? I was like, hell yeah, we want to finish. I'm over here, bitch maid, letting me out.
Right.
So finally we finished up. We got out of the room. But it was cool, man. It was a lot of fun. And then yesterday we went to the Rockies game, or on Sunday we went to the Rockies game, and it was movie night. So we got to go to the movie, then we got to go out and lay on the field and watch The Sandlot. They showed The Sandlot up on the big screen after the game, which was cool. It was hot as hell laying out on that grass, though. I wish it would have been more of a later start and they would have done it at night. That would have been a lot better. Yeah, I kind of like to do with the fireworks games or whatever. But nonetheless, man, it was a good time. It was a great time with friends. It was kind of planned for me. Obviously, that's why I didn't really invite you. I would have invited you out there. It was kind of just something that my friends had planned for me. Having great friends is always good. You know, hey, you want to do something for your birthday? Makes you feel loved. Yeah, man. Makes you feel like people care about you, even when you're old as hell. So that was cool.
You bet.
But overall, man, pretty good weekend. Did you watch any preseason football or anything like that?
I did. I watched a little bit of preseason football. I'm trying to think of anything that was momentous. It was nice. I watched the Arizona game, and I was able to kind of – was that last night with the Cowboys?
Oh, yeah, Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, for sure. Got to watch that one.
Man.
And,
I know it's preseason, but the Cowboys looked bad. I realized Dak Prescott didn't play. Zeke Elliott didn't play, but –
there was nothing going on.
8 turnovers?
They couldn't get anything going.
Yeesh.
And you know what? Arizona, especially their second string or whatever. I mean, obviously they had some of their first string defense in, but they're not known for a defensive team.
Right.
But they embarrassed the Cowboys.
Right.
God, it was gross. But got to see an interview with David Johnson, so excited to see him back because I believe with fantasy football, he's somewhere in the top 3 is what I'm kind of seeing with forecasts. So, he was talking about his wrist and his recovery and surgery and how he just kind of got to sit and just watch things and learn things last year, which is pretty cool and maybe exciting as well.
It makes me excited just that football is back in general. Yeah. You know, Sunday Night Football is obviously the best product on TV. It's killing Monday Night Football. Monday used to be the staple, but now Sundays is the game. If you're on Sunday Night Football, that is the primetime game every single week. NBC does the best coverage. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, everything about it. The little vignettes that they shoot, the little kind of factoids that they throw in coming back from commercial, all those little cool graphics they do. NBC really just does an incredible job with their product, and it's definitely the best game. So even though it was preseason last night, I was still excited to sit down and watch it. Something inside kind of gave me a little bit of excitement. Like right before the game was about to start, the Carrie Underwood, you get excited over the Sunday Night Football game and Sunday night product. The Broncos don't have any Sunday night games this year.
None?
We don't have one. Wow. We have, I think we have 3 primetime games. One of them is going to be on Monday night against the Chiefs. We got a Monday nighter against the Chiefs. We have a Thursday nighter. I don't even know who we play. Maybe the Chargers, something like that. And then we have a Saturday game against Cleveland, but it's set to be determined as far as time. So technically you could call that a primetime game if it's Saturday night or whatever. But realistically, we only have 2 legit primetime games, and neither one of them are Sunday night because we haven't shown up the past couple seasons. I mean, when you go 5-11, you're probably not going to be put in primetime very often.
You're not going to get those great slots. But if you are correct with that, those are both 2 division games out of 3. Yeah. So that's cool. Something to be excited about.
Did you watch any other preseason games over the weekend?
Not really, man. Just kind of busy, keeping domestic duties, man.
Right.
I did a lot of that this weekend.
Your lady's keeping you busy.
I feel fucking lame. Yeah, man. Like super
domestic
lame.
Duties.
Yeah, it's the
all
worst.
the dads, all the husbands out there. You guys know how that goes.
Cutting bushes, limbs, trees, grass, doing the whole thing. Allergies are fucking shitty today.
Dude.
Thanks.
I woke up. my eyes are all puffy. I was rubbing the shit out. I've been trying consciously not to rub my eyes so I don't look even more terrible for the cameras in here today. That's one thing that sucks about doing the podcast on video is there's going to be days when he's rolling in looking like shit.
Looking like dog shit.
Yep, it's just how it goes. I did catch the Broncos game Friday night, obviously, and then I did catch the Cleveland Eagles game. Saw Baker Mayfield get dumped a couple times, threw into coverage, got picked off a couple times, not looking as good as he did in the first one. Tyrod got hurt too. Did you see he got hurt in the first quarter, went out, Mayfield came in, then Mayfield got busted up, then Tyrod came back in because I think he I don't necessarily know that he's worried, but I know that he's like, hey, if I'm good to go, preseason or not, I need to jump back in the fire because this young rookie quarterback's sitting behind me and he's pushing him a little bit. He's giving him a little bit of pressure. I think Tyrod knows how the NFL works. He knows how the fan base, if he gets hurt or if he's not playing that well, the fan base is going to start clamoring for the young Baker, rookie. Yep. He's the shiny new toy. Everyone wants to see him, see what he can do. And I think that's why, because in my opinion, there's no need for him. He just got banged up. There's no need for him to go back in a preseason game, but he did. And we're going to see all that probably tomorrow night on Hard Knocks.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's kind of against what Hugh Jackson stood for, right? When we just talked about this, going against Todd Haley, his offensive coach, saying, hey, we need to bang this up a little bit. And he says, no, we're going to rest everybody. Tyrod gets hurt, goes out. Baker goes in. Tyrod goes back in.
Yep.
So that's kind of goes against what he was saying. But
it was crazy. And something I would highly recommend is NFL Game Pass, man. I did the 7-day trial. It's $100 for the season, kind of steep.
Yeah.
But if you can share it with somebody, if you have a couple friends that you could share it with, share the login, split it up. You split it 4 ways, 25 each or 50 each. If we were to split it, it's definitely worth it. For someone like me that is in 6 different fantasy football leagues this year, it's going to be, my job is insane here down at Certified Tattoo Studio, where we're broadcasting the podcast live from every single week. The Game Pass allows you to watch full replays of each game in 30 minutes or less. So I was able to throw on, I missed some of the Bronco game, so I was able to throw on NFL Replay, watch the condensed version. It cuts out all the BS in between plays. It cuts out any commercials. It's literally just back-to-back play. If there's a penalty, they'll cut right to the referee saying what the penalty was. If there's a big play, something big time happened, they'll give you a little replay of it, of a touchdown or a big sack fumble or something like that. But other than that, it's just back-to-back plays, and I was able to watch the Cleveland Browns Eagles game and the Broncos Redskins game in under an hour. I was able to watch both games in full. So highly recommend. If you're busy like me, you got kids, your wife's hassling you, watching too much football, you're in a bunch of fantasy leagues, whatever your case.
Domestic duties.
Yeah, whatever your case may be, highly recommend NFL Game Pass. $100 a year, but worth it if you're someone that's just very, very busy because you can catch up on all of those condensed games. I don't know. Have you checked it out yet? Have you?
No, I got to check that out. No.
Yeah, I should give you my login, charge you $50.
Yeah, you're putting me on right now.
I'm putting you on game.
We already share YouTube.
Right, exactly. Sharing the YouTube TV. Vitzer's on my YouTube TV. I was able to watch those. That's about all I caught, other than I did catch a couple little highlights of Josh Allen up in Buffalo.
Sure.
Saw he struggled.
Man, again.
Yep.
Again.
Yep. And that kind of makes me, as a Broncos fan, feel better that we didn't pick up Josh Allen in the draft.
Yeah.
That was a prospect that we were
highly looking at.
Yep.
Yeah, no
so
doubt.
that makes me feel good about that.
What would you say about the latest Broncos signing?
Man, that's some more big news over the weekend.
Yeah.
Pacman Jones being signed by the Denver Broncos. I saw that coming down on Twitter yesterday. I saw a lot of reports that he was in Denver. He worked out for the team. I didn't see anything that he had been officially signed, but I saw the rumblings and that it was going down. You text me and said, yo, did you see this and everything? Yeah. I was at the game, so my service was booty over there.
Always is.
The signing of Pacman Jones is something that I'm happy the Broncos got, man. With Aqib Talib leaving the team, this is something we needed. Right. We needed another dog. You know what I mean? We needed a hard nose, a tough guy. You need a little bit of that attitude towards your defense. Yes, he has the off the field issues.
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
Is that a concern of yours? Because the last 8 seasons, so many off the field incidents.
Is it a concern of yours?
Well, yeah. I mean, look at the one he just had in the airport where he actually decked the guy who was just starting shit with him. It is a concern for sure.
I would say I wasn't concerned if the airport incident didn't happen. It had been a while. You know what I mean? It had been a while since the strip club stuff and all that. You remember that famous soundbite? They told me I can't be in the strip club. I don't see nothing wrong going to the strip club. It's a funny soundbite if you look that up on YouTube. He's talking about being in the strip club and he thinks she should be allowed to be in the strip club, whatever. But if the airport thing hadn't happened, I wouldn't say it would be a big concern. I'm still not really that concerned. I think he was kind of being egged on and provoked in the airport.
Sure.
I think
100%.
Right. I think
I'd side with you on that.
It's almost not necessarily self-defense, but it's almost like a man can only take so much. You know what I mean? He can only take so much pushing and trolling.
Well, and his lady's with him.
Right.
You know, it's like, come on, man.
Yep. He is 34 years old. He'll be 35 at the end of September.
Correct.
What do you think about him in the return game? You think we're going to stick to Philip Lindsay returning kicks and
or
Isaiah McKenzie
right?
returning punts?
So, yeah, I mean, I think we're probably going to go with that, but I think Pacman Jones, he has a good chance at doing that, and he has a great history. And I'll tell you this, he has some significance with Vance Joseph, correct?
Right.
So
2014, 2015 season.
When he had his best season where he made the All-Pro, that kind of thing. So there is some history there. So I think he's got a good chance to make a huge impact.
I don't think he's going to do anything in the return game. I don't think they're going to put him back in the return game unless, especially on punt return, Isaiah McKenzie just struggles.
God, man, I'm worried about his fumbles, man. He is just he's got the case of the drops, man.
Has he been? He's been okay in preseason this year,
He's
though,
been
right?
okay, though, yeah,
I mean,
preseason.
We obviously know what happened last year.
Last year is what I'm going by.
Yeah. I think that was a mistake. We would both agree that was a mistake to continue to put him back there week after week after week and just watch him struggle. But this year, I was kind of shocked. I thought for sure they were going to go with Philip Lindsay right off the bat.
Yeah.
Isaiah McKenzie returned to punt for a touchdown. Against, what was that? Our first preseason game? It wasn't Minnesota. It was against Minnesota. He took one all the way back there. He hasn't had really any issues with the fumbling or anything like that. I know Philip Lindsay has been taking punt return practice in training camp and everything like that, just in case maybe McKenzie gets hurt or he does start to struggle. But I'm not sure that – I think they're going to stick with those two. I don't think they're going to throw Pacman Jones in the fire as far as a return man unless they just need something very, very safe. Similar to you remember when Wes Welker was here, they would throw him back there occasionally if they needed a serious – they needed to make sure there was a fair catch.
Sure.
And that was when we had Peyton Manning. It was just like, give Peyton the ball. Like, who cares? Just get him the ball. Just catch the ball and let him start the drive. We can't be turning the ball over inside our 20 just because we think he can make a big play. Yes, we know Isaiah McKenzie can break out. Yes, we know he has speed. He can give your team a big-time boost, but there's also that risk factor. So we'll see how we'll see how he goes this year. I think Pacman Jones is going to stay out of the return situation. I think he's just going to be primarily on defense, and that's going to bolster a secondary where we already have Chris Harris Jr. We have Bradley Roby, who's being asked to step up into the Aqib Talib type of role.
Yep.
I think he's going to be challenged a little bit. But Pacman Jones kind of brings you that extra security because Brendan Langley, let's be honest, he wasn't getting it done. No. Tremaine Brock has been hurt. He was supposed to be the guy that was going to replace Aqib Talib. Obviously, he's not playing at Aqib's level, but it's someone that could come in, a veteran presence, and shore up your defense.
Yeah.
He's been injured all camp. Su'a Cravens supposed to come in and replace Darian Stewart. Darian Stewart's looked awesome. Yep. He's a thumper. He's still been thumping fools during preseason. He's looked great in training camp. I like Darian Stewart there at the safety position. Su'a Cravens has not shown me enough. He hasn't really shown me anything because he's been hurt the whole time in training camp.
Correct.
So Pacman Jones, impact player or not for you on defense? Or you think he's just a veteran presence, he's going to do okay?
I think a little bit of both, but I think he's going to make a dramatic impact on the field and then behind closed doors as well as the veteran presence. I think he's going to be somebody that people can look up to just based off of the things he's done in the past. So yeah, I mean, I think he does that. Plus, we got a pretty good deal on him, right? The veteran minimum salary.
Yeah.
At what was that? Just 1 point,
something like that. Whatever the veteran minimum is. Yeah.
Just over $1 million. So great deal on him, and I think the leadership alone and just what he's done in the past is probably worth that. But security blanket, I think, is a great terminology.
This also allows rookie Isaac Yiadom. I think he's going to be good, but you've seen him get carved up a little bit in the preseason. They've been throwing at Yiadom a lot, and that is the guy to expose. He's a rookie. Cornerback is one of the toughest positions for a rookie to play. Yeah. It's just so fast. The game, the speed of the game from college to the NFL is such a difference with those wide receivers.
Intense.
They're bigger, faster, stronger. Obviously now with the new tackling rules, the defense, it's already hard enough to play defensive back. You come in as a rookie trying to learn a whole new system, trying to learn new coverages, and then trying to face elite level talent, it's tough on a rookie. Tough. So I like the signing for that reason. It allows us to kind of develop Isaac Yiadom a little more. He's not just going to be thrown in the fire, getting thrown at the best receivers each week or having to match up against certain receivers each week. I think that'll be Chris Harris's role.
Yep.
Pacman Jones can play the slot. We move Bradley Roby's been playing slot corner. We move him to the outside. I think overall, I'm really happy with it. Yeah, it allows us to really develop the young players.
Totally.
From here, I guess, do you want to kind of go into, let's see, maybe some fantasy football? Actually, let's continue along with some other news. See, Eric Decker retired.
I did, yeah. He announced that, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
And kind of on his next, he's just ready to go on to his next, thing in life.
Over the summer, I remember people, this is going to be the sleeper of fantasy football.
Right.
Tom
Going
Brady's
to the
going to make
Pats,
him
right?
a star.
Yeah.
All this stuff.
Totally.
And there's some merit there, but at the same time, Decker hasn't looked great with his past few seasons with the Jets. He's looked okay, but not great. Had some knee issues. Kind of lost a step. Wasn't super.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
lost a step.
Wasn't super fast to begin with. Wasn't a guy that had incredible bursts to begin with, but he always could get open. Yeah. Now I think he's having trouble getting separation and getting open at all, even with those little quick underneath routes. I thought he would be a nice compliment to them, but it's just looking like he's almost looking like Ricky Jarrett from Ballers. You know what I mean?
I was just gonna ring that up. Yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see the Ballers episode?
Totally. Yeah. Let's do some drills, and then all of a sudden he hits the 40-yard dash, and literally Charles says, "Dude's lost a step."
If you guys are not watching Ballers, I don't know what you're doing with your life.
Yeah.
But also, this is kind of maybe a spoiler if you're not caught up on the newest episode. Ballers has started. They're 3 episodes deep into the new season. Mm-hmm. It airs on Sunday nights on HBO. Man, HBO. Killing it again. They just do an incredible job at HBO. We talked about Hard Knocks last week.
Yep.
Ballers, they do an incredible job with. Did you see that promo for the barbershop thing?
I did.
Before Ballers with LeBron James.
I was super pumped on that.
Man.
They got some great elite guests. Anything from comedians like Jon Stewart, right, who has also hosted different news programs and whatever, to some of the most elite athletes right now.
Yeah.
And of course Snoop Dogg in there.
Yep.
Gonna add his 2 cents.
It's just like if you didn't see it, it's like a barbershop kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
But they're just talking about everything. It sounds like kind of nothing's off the table.
Kind of like
they're
our
talking,
podcast.
Kind of like our podcast. Yep.
Sports, what's happening in the world. A lot of great things. It seems like.
Yep. So the Ballers, kind of taking it back to the Ballers episode last night. If you missed it, again, spoiler alert, you might want to fast forward if you're not caught up yet. But let's be real, it's 3 days old. Yeah. You should be caught up. What are you doing with your life? No, I'm just playing. But the Ricky Jarrett goes to try out. He had already retired.
Correct.
He's a wide receiver he's played for Miami. He's played for a couple of different teams on the show. He retired, and then he went ahead and tried to make a comeback because his friend Charles is now the GM of the Rams, right? Mm-hmm. So he goes to do a tryout, and man, he's struggling.
Yeah.
He
dropping
looks
some passes.
Dropping passes, running slow 40s. Yeah. And honestly, when he runs the 40, he just walks off.
Yeah.
He just leaves. He
goes right to his Lambo.
Because he knows he's slow. He knows he's old. And that kind of intrigues me to see where it's going to go. Is this going to go in a direction where he just kind of, because now he's got a little daughter, he's got the family going.
Just bought the new house.
Right, just bought the new crib. He's settling into retirement. Mm-hmm. So are they going to go the direction of, okay, he just kind of rides off into the sunset with his family? I don't think so.
No.
I see
absolutely not.
The opposite direction where he makes a crazy comeback. He starts getting in the gym heavy. He starts clanging and banging. 4:30 a.m.
Totally.
He's in there, and he starts really bolstering himself, and he makes a big comeback. Now his wife, not too happy about it, and he lied to her. He didn't tell her that he was going to work out. So it'll be interesting to see where that storyline goes. There was 3 main storylines last night.
Yeah.
There was the Ricky Jarrett storyline. Mm-hmm. There was obviously
Vernon and Reggie going back to the hometown to retire Vernon's old high school jersey.
Littlefield.
Yeah, Littlefield.
Littlefield.
That's it.
They named his high school field. His name is Vernon Littlefield on the show. They named the field, the high school field, after him. And he was going to donate $5,000, and then he got all caught up in the emotions of it.
Totally.
They unveiled the Vernon Littlefield sign and named the field after him, and then he decided he wants to donate $1 million.
And his homie Reggie's
tripping, right?
Just tripping,
tripping out over it. Super funny. I thought last night's episode was awesome.
Yeah.
It's got me entrenched, especially with the way they ended it.
Yeah.
Russell Brand has done an awesome job. He's come in this season. He's been involved in all 3 of the first episodes as the owner of this action sports company
called Sports X.
Right.
Correct.
Yep. And they're trying to partner with them. And I think Russell Brand's done an incredible job with that character because he's kind of an out there, like hippie stoner, kind of just carefree. But then he has like a little bit of an asshole to him.
Yeah,
you know
he's
what I mean?
a dick
like,
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of that to him, and The Rock has a little bit of that to him as well. Kind of undertone. Like he doesn't get pushed around on the show.
Totally.
Let's just say that. So the way that ended last night with him trying to screw him out of, they kind of partnered companies.
Yeah.
And Russell Brand is trying to basically screw the Rock's company
Yeah.
out of a bunch of money, spend a bunch of money because they tried to acquire him, which is Joe's doing. Joe's a fucking idiot. Let's be real. Joe's funny as hell, but let's be real.
Joe makes the show, but yeah, fucking idiot.
Just not the best businessman.
Right.
And so it's going to be interesting to see where they take that. I'm super excited for next Sunday's episode. Is that something that you're watching every single week, following right away when it drops Sunday nights?
Yeah, I'll tell you, my lady's really into it as well, and she is not a sports enthusiast, just doesn't really like anything that I like.
Yeah.
So we can really vibe out on this, and she's the one that's like, dude, we got Ballers tonight. Let's get some food. Let's get it. Let's sit down.
She's pumped over Ballers?
Yeah, dude, it's great. Yeah,
no way.
For sure.
That's tight. Is she she's the same way with Hard Knocks?
Hard Knocks, I haven't really introduced her. I've talked to her about it,
right.
and she's interested because, I had to describe, like, well, it goes back to their kids and their family and this kind of stuff, just selling her on all these different concepts.
Well, let's be real. She's, for anyone that doesn't know Robin, she's not a huge sports fan.
At all.
She's, we're watching basketball. Mm-hmm. She's in the other room, and she complains that the sound of the screeching on the court of the shoes is annoying her, and she's like, turn the volume down. She's that kind of
literally
like sports
from
fan.
the top of the stairs. She's like, hey, that screeching is just it just annoys me.
Which
like, fair enough.
I guess I could get it. I think I've just watching so many basketball games, I've become accustomed to it. I don't even notice it.
Totally.
But to someone that's in the other room that doesn't hear Marv Albert talking over the
right.
who that doesn't hear the play-by-play guy, you don't hear the crowd. All you hear is the screeching. I could see how it could grind on you, especially if you're not a fan or you have no interest
at all.
Yeah, in what's going on the court. But I think Hard Knocks is a show that she would enjoy. It's kind of surprises me. No, I guess it doesn't really surprise me. She enjoys Ballers because The Rock does such a great job on that show. Everyone does a great job. It's just a great produced show. The writing's good. You can really get invested in each character and their story and what they have going on in their life, but they still all tie back together to Spencer Strassmore, which is The Rock's character in the end. Yeah. So I guess it doesn't really surprise me that she could be a fan of Ballers, just being, I wouldn't even say she's a casual sports fan. She's not really...
Not at all.
Does she do baseball? She do anything like that?
No, not at all. The only sport she does is yoga. I mean, she's into the yoga, the hiking, and I guess there's, some sort of similarities, I guess, with sports with that. But yeah, aside from that, I'm not a sports fan.
Did you see Andy Dalton over the weekend getting the standing ovation in Buffalo?
Yeah, in Buffalo, man.
How funny was that, man?
That was tight. But you know what else was tight? He was throwing some nice TDs, man.
Was he? I didn't see.
He was looking tight.
Much.
He was looking right for sure. And then
did he play the whole first half or?
I don't believe the whole first half. No,
because I know Case Keenum played pretty much the whole first half. I saw that quite a few other quarterbacks played the whole first half, unless you're the Cowboys and you don't even let Dak Prescott play a snap in the third preseason game. The third preseason game is really like that's like the big time game before the regular season. We know most of the starters or none of the starters really play the fourth game. It's kind of just dress rehearsal. Get yourself right, get your body right, get healed up for week one. But week 3 is usually the game where the starters get the most work. Some of them play deep into the third quarter. A lot of them play at least until halftime. Right. Dak Prescott didn't play at all. I was kind of shocked by that. Going back to the Sunday Night Football game, I also saw that who was it? We talked about Tyrod Taylor. Who was Josh Allen there in Buffalo playing against Andy Dalton. Did he play the whole first half? Did you see that? I know he got banged up and he was getting sacked all over the place, but I don't know if they did you see him? He got a concussion actually. I saw him get knocked down and bang his head on the turf, and he went into the concussion protocol. Cam Newton, did you see that play from Cam Newton?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
What did I miss?
Dude, okay, so Cam Newton, he goes to scramble. I think it's like a third down or maybe it's even a fourth down. I don't remember. Cam Newton goes scrambling outside the numbers, and he said, oh, man, we got to pull up the soundbite of Cam Newton. It's so funny. In the press conference, he talks about, he's like, man, I was coming around the corner. I don't know if he's like, I was thinking, man, it's preseason, but I really want the first down.
Right.
So I decided to go over the top and let this plane start lifting off.
Did it?
And as I start lifting off, I'm like, oh shit, it's preseason. We need to try to bring this thing down smoothly. Someone clipped his legs, dude. He did a flip and landed right on his neck, bro. Literally landed right on top of his head. All that weight landed down on his neck. Got a black eye. I thought for sure he was done.
Yeah.
I was like, this backup quarterback situation is worse than what the Cowboys got going on with Rush and whoever the hell they got over there. It's bad over there in Dallas. I was like, this situation in Carolina is not much better. Honestly, the situation in Denver isn't much better. I mean, you got Chad Kelly and Paxton Lynch. If Case Keenum goes down, we're in trouble. So it's not like a situation where Nick Foles and Carson Wentz, you know what I mean? You got someone that can step right in.
Yeah.
So Cam Newton, he said, when I was lifting off, man, I knew it was about to be bad. There was going to be all kinds of problems. There was buttons getting stuck. Air traffic control wasn't coming through. It was funny, bro. He did it in the press conference. It was so funny, bro. Cam cracks me up. Some of his outfits sometimes a little questionable. Yeah. Terrible fashion sense in some aspects, but he is so funny. Sometimes the stuff he says is hilarious.
Did he have the planner's peanut hat and the monocle?
No? I just heard the sound clip. I didn't see. Gotcha. I don't know if there was video or not, but I just heard the sound bite. And he said all kinds of buttons were getting stuck.
That's
traffic
awesome.
control wasn't coming through, and he got flipped over, landed on his head, and I thought it was over. A couple plays later, he comes out of the tent, comes jogging back into the game.
Ready to rock.
I was shocked. Same thing with Tyrod. He came back into a preseason game after he had gotten smoked.
So obviously he was cleared. Both
He's
of them
good
were cleared.
to go. Yep,
good to go.
Concussion protocol, good to go. Tyrod's wasn't concussion. It was knee.
Gotcha.
He kind of got hit on a play against the sideline.
Because it was Josh Allen that was cleared.
Yeah.
His was more of the concussion protocol. Okay, gotcha.
Banged his head on the turf in the end zone, too. It was almost like a safety, and he just got swallowed up.
That Cam Newton, as you were explaining that reminds me, it takes me back to Carson Wentz last year against the Rams, where he messes up the knee. So he took off, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the degree that Cam did, but, sustains that, what was it, MCL or ACL, whatever it was?
Something like that. Speaking of him, he's not cleared for week 1 yet. Do you know that?
He's not.
And Nick Foles got banged up, too. Did you see that against the Browns? He got folded up pretty good.
Yep.
That was some hard hitting in that Browns game. All 3 quarterbacks got injured. Baker got smoked. Tyrod got smoked. Nick Foles got smoked. They're all expected to be okay.
Well, and wasn't it the Bengals that played the Buffalo where they took out AJ McCarron?
Yeah.
And not on purpose, but AJ McCarron sustained the shoulder or the collarbone. I can't remember what injury he got out of it, but
all right, here I'm going to let's put this up. Let's show the clip of Cam Newton getting smoked.
Ground first. He's got McCaffrey underneath on a little drag. Yeah, and to see him elevate here. Yep. Boom, down.
You don't want to see your quarterback hitting the ground like that, though.
No. I thought that's part of the game, Rob, that he said he wants to stop doing to take the amount of hits.
It looked like he didn't want to run, but, he pumped it twice and then was like, all right, I guess I'll do it.
Good coverage.
Good coverage, yep.
Sore neck tomorrow.
Remember last year, Carolina was trying to cut down on the rushing attack.
It was bad, dude. So yeah, he went down, and not only did he land, because haven't you? I feel like I've seen that happen to Cam Newton before. Maybe at least once, maybe 2, maybe a few times. He's landed on his head before, but not sideways like that. That's what worried me. All the weight coming down on his neck, and as he was bending,
and his body was like the other way. It was, man, that looks like a bad one.
Did you watch any college football over the weekend?
No, I didn't.
I know it was opening weekend. It was not really. Right. It was kind of soft opening. It's like when you open a business and you do the soft opening. Sure. It was kind of like the soft opening for college football. It wasn't a ton of great games. CSU played Hawaii. I feel like that was probably one of the better games on the slate. I think they got smacked.
Yeah. How about your team? Go Blue.
Next week.
Okay. Next
Saturday.
Week.
9-1. 9-1, baby.
9-1, that's it.
Yep, opening up 5:30 p.m. game, I believe. Okay. So it should be exciting. I'm excited for Michigan season to start off. Jim Harbaugh has to have a good year this year. Yeah. I would say has to. I don't think his job's on the line. Like it's not like they're going to go fire Jim Harbaugh. You got to be realistic. Who are you going to get that's better? If you look in the mirror and you can't find anyone better, why are you going to fire your head coach? I don't know that there's anyone better out there, but it is a huge rivalry game, and it would be very, very nice. We do open up on the road against Notre Dame, big time rival.
Big, huge.
So that would be nice to come out of the blocks with a good, solid win, not a squeaker. Now I know rivalry games kind of like division games in the NFL. It's a toss-up, 50-50. You never know. It is a road game for us. But I would like to come out and get a solid 28-14 win. I would like to get a double-digit victory there just to start the season out fresh. But I don't expect that. That's
Sure.
what I would like to happen.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I don't even know who. Do you have a college team? Are you?
You know what? I do with basketball. With football, absolutely not. Because basketball, it's KU.
So you're a
right?
Wolverine fan.
Yeah. So we'll take on the Wolverines this year, man, for sure. But no, I love college ball because it I'm huge into fantasy, so I'm able to kind of see these people come up in the game and get a good idea of who I'm going to pick.
Have
for
you
fantasy
been
down
up
the road.
on college? Have you been reading any about any of the recruits? Have you scouted any of the teams? Do you have a prediction for the national championship this year? Who do you think is going to be there in the national title game, and who do you think is going to win?
Well, it's tough, right? Saban. Saban is always going to be in that conversation, right? From what he's done and the recruiting that he does and his staff does. That's what he's known for. He's incredible at it. He's able to pick these guys out and just have them sign for whatever reason and for however much. This guy's good. He is one of the best recruiters of all time, if you ask me, and coaches.
Yeah. So you're going Alabama? Is that what you're
I
saying?
would probably say Alabama.
Alabama
is,
versus who in the national championship game?
Let's see here. I don't think it'll be an Alabama-Clemson. Where's your Big Blue stand in this?
That's where you're taking.
Where's your Big Blue? I don't think they'll be in the championship game. But,
All right,
but here's the deal. So you're still dealing with Urban Meyer, right? And the stuff in the off the field issues.
We haven't really touched on that on the podcast because I don't want to come off like an Ohio State hater.
Correct.
Because obviously I hate Ohio. I hate everything
to.
Ohio.
If
I'm
you're
just not
from
an
Michigan,
Ohio
you have
fan
to.
at all. So anything Ohio, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
I honestly feel. I don't even know how to say it.
Your passion is stewing over. Hey,
I was about to cuss very heavily there. I decided not to.
You're crock-potting over there, man.
I decided not
you're
to.
Sitting and stewing.
Listen, it's very, very hard for me as a Michigan fan to even watch Hard Knocks, being that I hate the Browns.
Hate Ohio.
Obviously, the drive, John Elway, the fumble, Ernest Biner going in, all the stuff, the history that the Broncos have against the Browns, the history that Michigan has against Ohio State. I don't like anything Ohio. When LeBron left Cleveland and went to Miami and shit on Ohio, it was one of the happiest days of my life. I was so pumped. And then when he went back there, I was like, no, I have to hate LeBron again. Yeah. Even though you can't hate LeBron. I mean, LeBron's the man. But and I love that he shit on Cleveland again and left again. You know, he got him a title. I get it. Yeah. But it's all jokes, man. All jokes aside, I'm not a big fan of what has happened here. I think Ohio State handled it wrong. I think Urban Meyer should be fired. I do. Honestly, let's be real, man. You've known about this. You've known about what's going on. You can deny it. You can say you didn't know. That's fine. But at the end of the day, your wife, you've come out and publicly said your wife is like the assistant coach at Ohio State. Totally. She knows everything about the program. You guys have that type of relationship. It's like Yayo and Rhea here at Certified. Yeah. They know every part of the business. She knows everything he knows. He knows everything she knows. They're partners. They're in and out. They treated it like that at Ohio State. They're in the same house every night. She's a hardcore football fan. She's not someone that just sat around. She's not, I don't know, maybe Jerry Jones's wife that's just there, hey, all right, clapping along. You know what I mean? Football is football. She's entrenched. She knows what's up. She knows the players. She knows the coaches. She has a personal relationship with the coaches. She had a personal relationship with the assistant coach's wife that was was the victim of the domestic violence or the domestic abuse. And there's no way that Urban Meyer didn't know that was going on. I guarantee you she went to him, told him about it, because she was texting back and forth multiple times with the wife. Yeah. There's no way.
You're going to tell me that they didn't have wine together and talk about all this stuff. Yep. And then Urban, who came out multiple times and said, look, man, my wife runs most everything. Yep. I'm on the field behind the organization. What's going on? She is the booster. Yep. She is the booster of Ohio State.
It's disgusting the fact that he knew and he didn't say anything. And it's even more disgusting the fact that she knew and she didn't say anything. Yep. And she didn't make him say anything. And she didn't make him come out and say, yo, man, we got to part ways with this guy. Right. This is not a good guy. This guy's not doing right by the program. He's not doing right by his wife. He's not living right. That's not the way you want to live. And
just a bad look, man. Just all credibility goes out the window just in a snap of a finger, it seems like. But
go ahead.
He is a great coach, right? There's no doubt about that. He's got a great name. You know, he's awesome. He's done great things for multiple organizations. But 3-game suspension?
That's what I was just going to say.
Oh, really?
You've seen players, coaches get more than that. Des Bryant got suspended 10 games for talking to Deion Sanders while he was at Oklahoma State. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And now this man,
now
are
all
you
of a
kidding
sudden-
me?
Yeah.
He got suspended 10 games for talking and having lunch with Deion Sanders. This is basically a Jerry Sandusky situation at Penn State.
Sure.
Just not involving children, but it's domestic violence. It's domestic abuse.
Yeah, it's still higher powers taking advantage of a system and of people. It's wrong.
Right.
You know?
So and he gets 3 game suspension?
Embarrassing.
And the NCAA allows Ohio State to police their own investigation and then suspend him for 3 games? Are you kidding me? What is that?
That's a bad
That's
look.
why I hate the NCAA, because there's no concrete rules. It's always just wild, wild west. Oh,
Sure.
you may get 3 games for this. You get 2 games for this.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to give you 9 games for this.
Yeah.
There's no law.
None
There's
of it
no,
makes sense. None of it.
It's the wild, wild west, and it makes no sense to me. And again, I'm not trying to come off like a Ohio State hater just because I am a Michigan fan. Sure. But that's just the reality of the situation. If you don't think Urban Meyer should be fired for that, you're obviously out of your fucking mind.
Yeah.
It's domestic violence. He's committing domestic Urban Meyer's not committing domestic violence, but his assistant coach is on his watch. He's the head of the program. He needs to be punished for that. Yeah. I realize you fired the assistant. That's fine. But what about the guy that starts at the top? Yeah. It all rolls downhill from the top. If you're not, if the guy at the top knows about it and isn't going to do anything, the buck has to stop with him.
For sure. That's he's the biggest part of the problem for sure in that scenario. And with the women's movement and all of this right now that's going on, the NCAA could have made a huge statement.
Huge.
They could have made a huge statement.
Said we're not going to stand. Ohio State could have made a huge statement. I would have had so much respect, so much more respect for that program.
Even as much as you hate them.
Yeah. I would have had a lot of respect, because that shows that morally, they're doing what's right morally. They're not only concerned about winning. And this looks selfish. It looks like you guys don't care.
Correct.
And especially in the times that we're in, the Me Too movement, all the things that are going on, it's wild to me that there's not more backlash from this situation. I hope every away game those fans start pelting those fools with garbage, with trash, trashing the sideline. I would love to see that. Yeah. I want to see outrage. I'm outraged by that. If that was Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, damn right I think he should be fired. If he's letting that happen on his watch, I've never hit a woman in my life. I don't think that's ever going to happen in my life. I wasn't raised that way. Verbal, physical, any kind of a domestic abuse, it's still abuse. Yeah. Whether it was verbal, physical, anything like that.
You're saying it's okay.
You are.
You really, really are.
You're saying winning's more important.
And that's what it comes down to. Money,
and as competitive
winning,
as a guy as I am, winning is everything.
It is. The program winning, the money, the everything. You're losing all credibility. And I don't understand how the media's not coming out and who's in the back pocket of who, it seems like, because the media is not coming out here saying, hey, what are we doing here? Hey, suspension's done. Cool. It's been served. We're good. This is what we're doing. And everybody's moving on. Like, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe we should move on.
So, let's wrap up the college football convo with this. I do think it's going to be Alabama in the national championship game.
Yep, I do too.
I do think it's going to be Clemson again.
Do you?
It's going to be another rematch, and I think Dabo Swinney gets his second national championship. They beat Alabama in the national championship this year. Looking at the squads, looking at the recruits, looking at the rosters, neither of them have lost anything. If anything, they've gained. Everyone else has gotten worse. They've gotten stronger. I just don't see anyone competing with Clemson or Alabama. Right. They're just so far ahead of every other program right now. Recruiting, the play scheme, the coaching is all the same. They haven't lost anyone out of their systems as far as their coaching tree goes. This is going to be they're both dynasties. I mean, let's be real. Especially if Dabo puts down 2 here, you can put them in the dynasty conversation. He still has to do a little more to catch up with Alabama. Alabama is almost beyond a dynasty. Sure. I mean, this is almost unprecedented, the run that Alabama's been on since the late, 09, 2010, somewhere in that range. Yeah. You know what I mean? The run that they've been on has just been absolutely incredible. This is going to solidify Nick Saban as the best college football coach of all time. Obviously, he's about to pass Bear Bryant, national championships.
Bear Bryant.
He will surpass him. I don't think it's going to be this year, though. I think Dabo Swinney is going to get his second national championship, and Clemson is the national champ. That's just me.
Well,
that's early. That's early on.
And this is coming from
preseason.
a big Alabama fan. Obviously, Wolverines go deep, but yeah, you're a huge Alabama fan.
Yeah, I had a few friends that graduated from there, and I always support Alabama if they're not playing Michigan.
Yep.
Roll Tide all day if they're not playing Michigan, just because of my homies. But when they're playing Michigan, which the last time they met was in Cowboys Stadium back in 2012, I believe, and Michigan got their shit pushed in. But that was back before Harbaugh got there and all the new stuff. So, but that's my prediction, man. I think I'm going Clemson national champion this year.
I like it. Well, as you know, fantasy drafts are this week, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Let's move into. Actually, before we move into fantasy, let's go DraftKings. Okay. I got an idea the other night.
Okay.
I didn't talk to you about this yet, but I was sitting around and I play DraftKings. You play DraftKings. Yeah. You and I play head to head each week. We play,
and I usually get my ass whooped.
You get smoked. Yep.
Unfortunately,
I do this. I put it down. As you can see on the YouTube channel, I'm doing a light flex over here.
I'm just giving to charity. That's all I'm doing.
What do we normally do? What, $5-10 a week?
Yeah, usually.
Okay, so
sometimes we'll do two. We'll do the early and late
morning slate. Yeah. So if you're unfamiliar with how DraftKings works, it's daily fantasy football. You can choose different teams each time you play. You can choose all the games on a Sunday. You can choose just to play the morning slate. You can choose just to play the afternoon slate. You can choose the afternoon slate combined with the Sunday night game,
or the Sunday and Monday.
Or the Sunday and Monday games. There's a ton of different ways to play DraftKings. You build your roster around there. Now, I had an idea. You and I play weekly.
Yeah.
What I was thinking about, why don't we just open this up to all of our listeners on the podcast? We should open it up to have a big tournament, the Most Underrated Podcast tournament each week. We just do like $5, nothing crazy. Yeah. Everyone throws in $5. We can do... I'm down for winner take all. I'm down to pay out the top 3.
Do a first, second, third, buy-in, whatever.
Whatever we want to do. But I think that'd be fun, man. I think it'd be cool to get the listeners engaged. If you play DraftKings and you guys would like to get involved in that, DM me on Instagram, on Twitter, shoot us an email at the Most Underrated Podcast. Because what I have to do is I have to collect your emails or your usernames. Yes. So shoot me your username on DraftKings. I'm going to add you to this group. We'll do a reoccurring week. You don't have to play every week if you don't want to, but I will invite you every week if you're on there. And I'll invite everyone that gives me their username to a pool. We'll do a $5 pool every week. I'll decide if we want to do winner take all or top 3. Maybe you guys can include that in your email when you send me your username. Let me know what you vote for. If you want winner take all, do you want top 3? So maybe you can make your $5 back if you place or make a little bit of money there. Let me know. I think that'd be fun, man. I think it'd be fun to put together a full-on DraftKings tournament every single week because you and I were already playing each other anyway. So we might as well just do something with the listeners. That'll be a fun time. I love DraftKings. I play weekly on top of these 6 fantasy leagues that I'm in. So if you guys are down for that, if we can get enough people, I mean, I don't even know if we have to have enough people. Shit, if it's 10 people, cool. I don't give a crap. You know what I mean? Like, just shoot me your DraftKings username so I can add you to this group because I have to go through and I did some research last night and I have to go through and manually set it up. I could make it to where they could just join, the listeners could join, but it would be everyone would be able to join because I'd have to make it public. Right. So then a bunch of people we don't know, and it wouldn't just be exclusively the show. Yeah. That's the whole point of this. I want to keep it exclusively the podcast.
Exclusivity.
This is podcast bragging rights on here. I want to announce the winner on here every week, how much money they're taking home. So if you want to do this, man, $5. We'll do $5 every week. Yeah. I think that's good. I think that's fair. I
think that's minimum anyways. Yeah.
Yep. We'll do $5 every week. Send me your username on Instagram, on Twitter, or at mostunderratedpodcast@gmail.com. That's mostunderratedpodcast@gmail.com. Just shoot us your DraftKings username. We'll go ahead and set that up. Now, moving into fantasy football, I'm in 6 leagues. You're in 5 leagues.
You got it.
Drafts are this week.
Yeah.
We were talking about that before. Dallas has some prior commitments on Thursday this week when we normally record our podcast. Also, he has his 5 fantasy drafts. I have 5 of my 6 this week. So we both have 5 drafts this week on top of his prior commitment. So I'm not sure if we're going to get a podcast up on Friday. Just being realistic. If we can try to squeeze it out at the end of the week, maybe we can record it Friday, upload it Saturday. That's something that just stay tuned to the social media accounts. I'll let you guys know on that. But again, just nothing we could do, man. You had prior commitments. You had some stuff that you already had lined up before the podcast, before we started the podcast, during the podcast times. So
correct.
We might not be able to do that, but go ahead and get into fantasy here.
So for me, all drafts are this week. I actually had a draft last week, which is weird. I call that amateur hour. So I joined.
Who's drafting before the 3rd preseason?
Yeah,
game?
So it's my assistant manager.
If your league is doing that, by the way, you guys need to pull your head out.
Yeah, man, for sure.
What if Cam Newton would have broke his neck? the other night.
Yeah,
What if
no doubt.
what if Tyrod Taylor would have broken his knee?
Yeah.
What if Baker Mayfield, when he got folded up like an accordion, what if he had a back injury?
Yep.
You know what I mean? What if Josh Allen gets knocked out with concussion on the turf? He's out for 4 weeks.
Totally.
What are you guys doing having a draft before the third preseason game when you know most of the starters play the most in the third preseason game? What are we doing?
Right, you are. So yeah, let's not get away from amateur hour, because that's what it was and that's what it is. But it's a new league that I just joined. It was a $20 buy-in. They needed an extra guy to level.
What are you
out the
doing?
team.
$20 buy-in? Who has to, that ain't even worth the. Ain't worth, the juice ain't worth the squeeze there, bud. That ain't worth my time. $20.
Hey, it is what it is, man. Here, you know what? Any practice I can get,
Jeez.
let's go. I'm here to win.
I'm just playing.
Somebody
I'm just
says,
talking
hey,
shit. I'm talking
somebody
shit.
says you want to play, I'll play, man. So, anyways, long story short, so what I found out was, yeah, I already drafted one league. So, what I was able to come up with without giving my whole draft away, I was able to snag Breeze. Pretty happy about that. I think he's coming off.
Was he your top rated quarterback? Is that if someone's picking in the let's say you got a just first round in general. Yeah. Whatever your pick is first round. Let's say you're late first round. You're picking at 8. 8 out of 10 or 8 out of 12.
Okay.
Do you grab Breeze that early or do you wait? Did you wait?
Absolutely. No, I wait.
You waited. You went running backs first.
I did. So Gurley was obviously gone, and it's funny that you say 8. That was my exact spot.
Really?
I was drafting at 8, and I'll tell you what, 8 sucks, man. That 8 and 9 spot. If you're doing a 10-man league,
are you in
12-man
snake draft? So you go 1 to 10-team league?
12.
Okay, so you go 1 to 12,
Yep.
and then you go 12 back to 1.
You got
Snake?
it.
Okay.
You got it. So 8 is kind of right in that middle. I say with middle to end. And the reason I don't like that is because if you're first, obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to get a great elite pick, right? And then have a decent pick on the second round. Or if you're last, you're going to have that last pick, but you're going to have that first pick, right? That next round. So that 8, 9, 10 spot sucks, man. I think in a 12-person league. That's my opinion. So what I was able to grab, so I'll tell you, my first round pick was a running back, and all that was really left at that time, because it was running back heavy, there's no real elite running backs. Now, this is my opinion this year. You have Gurley coming off his best season of all time. The year before that, he shit the bed. You have David Johnson coming back from this big wrist surgery out at week 1 last season, right? Yeah. And then you have the rest is like, okay.
Who went number 1 overall?
Elliott. So in this draft, Gurley, of course, went number 1.
How high did Bell go?
Bell went third. So it was Gurley.
He's going to play.
Yeah, it was Gurley.
He just doesn't want to play preseason. He doesn't want to go through training camp. People are making a big deal of him not signing. He'll be there.
Well, and the whole franchise tag, we can argue that till we're all blue in the face. But it went. I'll give you the top 4. It went Gurley, Elliott, Bell, Johnson.
Yeah.
So, and you can move that Bell and Johnson any way you want it. You could even take...
Those are the top 4 consensus. I think on any ranking you look at, no matter what your scoring system is, even if you're in PPR league, obviously our rankings and how the stuff I throw out there may be different based on your scoring system. I think that is very important. A lot of people that are new to fantasy football, and maybe even some veterans, maybe you just overlook it. Scoring system is very, very important in fantasy football when you go to set up your draft. You should definitely find a website that you can go import your scoring settings to that website. I use a few different ones, but you can go import your score settings, and then it'll generate a cheat sheet and a more of a value-based draft based on your scoring system. Yeah. If you just do the standard ESPN scoring, the standard NFL.com, Yahoo, whatever, then you may be fine using a standard cheat sheet or position or value-based ranking. But if you use a different scoring system, you want to make sure you're drafting based off that scoring system. I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people make.
That's huge.
Rookies and vets.
Yeah, because you're just going for those elite names and you're going for that research, but you're not actually applying it to what your league actually stands for and the ratings that are based.
So no matter the scoring, top 4, those are guys. Yeah, you're going Le'Veon Bell, Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, David Johnson.
So I'll tell you. So I did get Breeze, obviously, order, and then I'll give you the running back that I actually took. So in that 8th spot, all the elite, quote unquote, my air quotes, are gone at that point. So now it's like sleepers. Who do I think who's looked good in preseason? Blah blah blah. Who can I take? But it's first round still, so it's got to be some sort of elite pick, right? So Fournette was luckily
Leonard,
still.
huh?
And
Wow.
I had him last year, and up until like just before the playoffs, right, he started to get hurt, body started breaking down. So, I didn't get as much performance out of him in the latter end, but he did really well for me, so I was able to land him first round.
Same thing. I had Fournette last year.
Yep.
Very impressed with what he did. He's coming in around 6th for me.
Is he?
I would put, obviously we had the top
Yeah.
4 we just mentioned. I would say Alvin Kamara and then Leonard Fournette.
Sure.
That's how I have him ranked personally.
I have Kamara in the top 5.
Do you?
For me,
Wow.
Because here's the deal. Because Mark Ingram, he's coming off a really good season last year, right? But he has the 4-game suspension for
Yep.
the Peds. And then he also is unhappy with his current contract. I believe he has this is his last year of his current contract. So there hasn't been any talks on what that looks like. So we'll see what Ingram does. But, man, I love Kamara as that backup.
Kamara's your guy, yeah.
I love Kamara. Dude, I love what he did last year. And maybe that was a fluke. We'll see if he can maintain that this year, because look at Gurley. Again, it's just as a comparison. But I think where Ingram's going, I think that's that double back set. And I think they're transitioning the Saints in general to more of that running slot. But I do believe Breeze will have that 4,500 yards. I don't think he'll have that 5,000, that he did.
Yeah,
What
for
was
sure.
that, 2 seasons ago,
Yep.
3 seasons ago? But, yeah, man, that's what I'll share with that draft.
I think let's talk about some busts here.
Okay.
Sticking with the running back position, just give me someone that you're staying away from this year. When you go to your fantasy drafts, someone you were just staying clear of. You're not going to have any of them on your team. I have a guy as well. I'll give you that in a second.
Did you want to start with running backs?
Yeah, let's start with running backs.
Okay. For me, there's 2 that I kind of have in mind. Ingram was one, and I say this lightly, and it's just because the contract deal, the 4-game suspension, I don't think he's really happy, and I think Kamara is really kind of that next dude.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that.
But he's little. You're not worried about his size.
No, I'm not.
You think they can run him between the tackles like
I do.
that, at that size?
I think the versatility,
Consistently.
the speed, the versatility.
How is he
has,
different than Darren Sproles? How is all of a sudden Alvin Kamara just different than all these other little running backs, and they all get hurt? How are you telling me he's not going to get hurt?
Well, I don't. I can't tell you that he is or isn't going to get hurt, but I just love the versatility of him, and I do see a lot of Sproles in him, and I do see some Shady McCoy stuff in him, and I just think the versatility, and he's still really young. He's driven. Man, he could be, aside from Breeze.
I'm high on him as well, especially in PPR leagues. Obviously,
Aside from
PPR
Breeze,
is going to be a monster.
Aside from Breeze, this is the face of the Saints. So
That's crazy to me.
That's what I think, but I could be wrong. But so we talk about Ingram, but I think the biggest one is, and he hasn't really shown us a lot yet, but what do you know about Isaiah Crowell?
I know a little bit.
Yeah.
Not someone that I have high on my board.
Correct.
But I think he's a good sleeper.
But he has a big opportunity, right? Leaving Cleveland, going into the Jets. Correct on that?
Yeah.
So he's going to the Jets, but man, the Jets just don't have a great line. They don't have a lot going for them. And I feel like Jets and Cleveland is where a lot of stars, or have been stars, go to die. Mm-hmm. We look when who were mentioned just that retired. When we look at him going over to the Jets,
I think you're totally right about that. Look at Thomas Rawls from Seattle. He's now going to the Jets. He's like 3rd or 4th on the depth chart. I'd be lucky if this guy makes the team.
No doubt.
And this is a guy that was in Seattle. He was their featured back.
Totally.
You know what I mean? It's crazy how quick that NFL players just fall off the edge of the earth. You know what I mean? Like you're here, and then the drop is just so quick.
Well, and the running backs,
especially in the running back position,
backs are
running back and defensive backs.
Yeah.
Corners,
'Cause what,
you're
running
elite
backs-
one year, and then all of a sudden you're getting burned the
With
next.
running backs, if you're a great elite running back, what do you have? 4 to 5 years?
So give me a guy you're staying away from. I'm sorry, did I miss that?
So yeah,
who's your bust? Who you're staying away from?
So for me, Isaiah, I'm going to stay away from, because I just don't think going over to the Jets, I don't like that look. And he never did much, with Cleveland. I think he was good. I don't think he was elite. And I would also, for me, with this draft that I just did, I stayed away from Ingram. Ingram was available, and I balked.
I'm going with the bigger name than Isaiah Crowell. I have him coming in at the 46th best running back. Not that great.
Okay.
I don't think, he's not going to be a guy that's, for me, a bust. He's not, you're going to take him in the later rounds if you take him. He's not going to be a guy that kills your team. A guy that could kill your team that you take early is LaShawn McCoy for me. I'm very worried about LaShawn McCoy. I think, I have no idea what's going to happen with the legal problems, all the stuff. You remember the case that just came down about a month or so ago?
With his baby mama?
Yeah, all that the whole situation there. I don't know what's going to happen with all the legal stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what's true and what's not true. I'm not here to talk about the case.
So kind of, but it's another Zeke case.
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
Yep. It is. So, but that's not the reason. That's not the reason I'm saying don't pick LaShawn McCoy.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying is more on the field stuff. I'm concerned about his age, 30 years old.
Yeah.
We very, very rarely see running backs get into their 30s and they're still productive. Look at Adrian Peterson starting to fall off the map. Man, he tore the Broncos up though. Did he look good in preseason or what?
He did. I was actually
It was
shocked
preseason.
on that.
Now, this isn't breaking news. The Broncos have not been able to stop the run very well all preseason.
Correct.
We saw that week 1 with Minnesota. Latavius Murray is looking like an all-star out there. Give me a break. Who the hell's Latavius Murray? Anyway, LaShawn McCoy. So LaShawn McCoy, age is a little bit of a factor. Also, Buffalo had to replace 3 of their starting linemen. I don't know how well those guys are going to do. Now, I don't follow Buffalo very, very close, but when you replace 3 offensive linemen, it might take a little bit to get that going.
Sure.
The chemistry on the offensive line, opening up those holes. Shady's good, but you're only as good as your offensive line to some degree. So that kind of worries me there. Rookie quarterback Josh Allen getting swallowed up. Buffalo has not looked good in preseason.
Game after game. A.J. McCarron getting knocked out.
Yep.
Man.
Again, going back to the 3 starters on the offensive line being replaced there.
Right.
That's another aspect.
have
He's
something to
obviously
do with it.
Yep. He's
Totally.
getting killed there. Receiving core. I mean, they don't really have a fire receiving core over there. Sammy Watkins left.
Yeah.
You got Kelvin Benjamin over there, who yet to be seen if he's going to be what we thought he could be when he initially came in as a rookie in Carolina.
Well, he's only had 1 year with Buffalo, so
and he has had the knee. He had the knee injury, so we don't know what Kelvin Benjamin's going to be. Corey Coleman just traded there. If you follow Hard Knocks, if you follow the Cleveland Browns, he just got traded there. Didn't look like his work ethic or attitude was great in Cleveland. So I'm not sure if it's gonna. I'm not sure that's going to be any better in Buffalo, especially when you have a young quarterback who doesn't really know how to lead yet. He's not an NFL leader yet. Very rarely do you see a rookie quarterback step in and he has the kind of intangibles or leadership skills of a Baker Mayfield. Josh Allen, I don't see that out of him. That worries me. Charles Clay, aging tight end. Yeah. You can put him in the Antonio Gates conversation. This guy's old as shit. Yeah. Somehow he still makes it work, though.
Yeah,
somehow he gets open.
How old is Gates now? Is he 80?
I don't know.
Is he 80, 85?
I think he's 82 years old,
okay,
yeah.
82 years old. Okay, gotcha.
So, kind of crazy.
So it sounds like stay away from Buffalo altogether is
Buffalo they could be a mess up there, man. I mean, I know they made the playoff run last year, but there's been a lot of turnover, a lot of changes, and all that stuff really worries me with Shady McCoy. Shady McCoy is a great name, and obviously the off-the-field stuff is concerning, but I'm more concerned about all the things I mentioned. In addition, he already has a groin injury. Going into the 3rd preseason game, he didn't play. He had a groin injury.
He's prone to it. Ankles, groin, whatever it is. There's injury prone there.
He's being drafted. I'm seeing Shady McCoy in mock drafts. I'm seeing him go off the board around 24, which is in the 2nd round, late 2nd round. I don't know. I'm not seeing that. I wouldn't draft him personally until about the 4th. If you see Shady sitting there in the 4th, I would take a flyer on him, but I wouldn't get him in the 2nd. I would not go for him in the 2nd. I would pass on that guy. Let somebody else ruin their team with LaShawn McCoy.
I'd take him in the 3rd for sure.
3rd?
I don't know that I'd wait for the 4th. I would take him in the 3rd possibly, depending on what the board looks like.
That's why you get your ass beat every week in DraftKings.
Easy.
I'm just kidding. DraftKings. How many leagues are we in together, though, by the way?
2.
We're in 2. We're in 2 together. Yeah. Okay.
What about tight ends? What do you think? So, because I think a bust could obviously be Jimmy Graham, and granted, okay. He's got Aaron Rodgers. I get it. Yep. Okay, and I think that could be a great relationship. But I also don't see the speed. I don't see the burst speed by any means that we did from him in New Orleans. And he wasn't heavily. I mean, he was used over in Seattle. But when you have a quarterback like Russell Wilson, it's hard. Russell Wilson's not always throwing. Okay, he's running. He's making things happen. But Jimmy Graham could be a bust. And I just think that's tied to a new team, new start, and that burst speed. I don't think that's there.
Where are you ranking Jimmy Graham in your tight ends? Where do you see him going? Is he top 5? Is he top 10?
With Jimmy Graham, there's not a lot of elite tight ends. There's even
tight ends have been tough the past couple years.
I mean,
outside of Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski, it's scarce.
I love Greg Olson's leadership, but would I put Jimmy Graham over at Greg Olson? Yeah, absolutely. Greg Olson, that was a major injury last year, and
I wouldn't. I have Olson at 4.
Do you?
I have Graham at 6.
See, I have Graham at 5.
Okay.
Okay, so he is in my top 5 tight ends.
I would go if you're asking me tight ends, busts, or guys to stay away from. I would say Evan Ingram. A lot of people are high on him.
He's already hurt.
I know.
Well, questionable for whatever.
He's not going to play the rest of the preseason. I think he'll be okay for week 1.
Okay.
But that's a guy I would stay away from. I'm seeing him going about number 3, right behind Gronk and Travis Kelce. Yeah. Evan Ingram. Everyone is so high on this guy.
They're hyped on him.
I would stay away from Evan Ingram. I think they have some issues there with the offensive line. Obviously, at least you got a good quarterback throwing to him, right? The quarterback isn't really the concern. Eli does well.
But you got Beckham coming back, so I think Ingram did serve a great purpose last year.
Yep, exactly.
But will it be the same? Will it be different? God, man,
that was exactly what I was about to say.
Good.
He was out last year.
Yeah.
Beckham was out last year, so Ingram was able to eat. He was able to get all those targets, all that stuff. If Odell Beckham Jr. stays healthy, Sterling Shepard stays healthy. He plays a full 16 games this year. You got the dynamic running back of Saquon Barkley being added into the mix. What's left?
Yeah.
What is left for Evan Ingram there? Now, I may be wrong. He may be able to eat up some red zone targets, but I think they have too many other mouths to feed there. Yeah. It kind of becomes one of those situations. I'm not saying don't draft Evan Ingram or he's not going to have a good year. I don't think he's going to have a top 5 or a number 3 tight end type of year. I don't think he's valued at that spot.
I think he's going to get lost. Denver Bronco fans would understand this, but remember Julius Thomas comes to mind and kind of that whole situation, right? You had DT, you had Sanders coming up, and Julius kind of got lost. He had that one good year. I forget what year that was, but aside from that, he kind of got lost in the mix, and the Broncos still haven't had a tight end to, it's really worth a shit since. But I see Ingram kind of fall into that same boat, like, hey, man, it's just not enough to eat.
Yep.
Unfortunately. But, by the way, did you see Julius Thomas just announced
his retirement?
Well? Yeah.
Yep. So, 2 former Broncos, Decker out, Julius Thomas out.
And he's going back to school to study the, the whole CTE thing, and I forget what degree, but, he really wants to
some kind of medicine.
Yeah, something to look into this whole CTE
neuroscience
head stuff.
or psychological, something like that.
That could have been it.
Yep.
So, sorry.
No, you're good. I think Julius is a smart guy. Everything that I saw here of him here in Denver, when I was in the media, he was here in Denver. I was out at training camp every day. I was out at practices. I was down there interviewing the guy, saw him at press conferences when he was lighting it up with Peyton Manning. We saw he's just not much of a blocker. He's not really good in any other aspect of the game other than pass catching. He wanted to be paid like a receiver. He didn't get paid like a receiver from the Broncos. Miami paid him obviously way too much. We know how that went. He departed from there. Where did he go after Miami? I can't even remember now. He went somewhere else. Didn't have a ton of success.
Wait, do we mention Jacksonville?
Oh yeah, the Ville. That's right. Duh.
Yeah.
I'm losing it. So yeah, he went to Miami, didn't have much success. Went to Jacksonville, didn't have much success. Now he's retiring now.
Yeah.
I think he sees the writing on the wall. He just doesn't have a ton of value. He's kind of got what he could get out of football. He's a former basketball guy.
Yeah.
This is the guy that much would have been playing in the NBA.
Could he go back to? Could he go back to the Drew League?
The Drew League, Drew.
or the Big C.
The Big Three.
Oh, the Big Three. Big C. Sorry, the Big C. I got
Big
pumped.
C.
Yeah, sorry.
No, so yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool on Julius. I feel good about him retiring. I think it was the right time. I think he didn't try to stretch his career into something he couldn't. I think he was never a great run blocker. He was never much more of anything but a pass catcher.
Right.
Obviously, highlighting.
But he was huge. And he had that dominance. And of obviously the height from the basketball, know. So
and he didn't do much outside of that Peyton Manning season, though. No. You know what I mean? Outside of that year, maybe a couple years. But outside of that, he didn't do much. I think it's a great time for him to retire, and good luck to him getting his degree and pursuing his new career in medicine.
Just to wrap kind of some of this boomer bust out, maybe, get to receivers. I don't know if we talked about receivers as much, but I have one. But if you want to start it, let's see if we're on the same page. I got one for you.
Ooh, man, let me look through my list here. Go ahead. You can go first. I want to choose. I got 3 or 4 different ones.
So I
want
to
choose wisely here. Who do I want to throw in?
So I had this guy last year. And he plays for the Chiefs.
Okay.
And obviously we know that Alex Smith is now gone.
I knew you were going to go there.
No,
that was who I was going to go. Yes, I did. I knew you were going to go there.
So now we have Patrick Mahomes, right? I get it. And, it's funny. In this last draft, I'll give it one other secret away. I did pick up Mahomes as my backup to Drew Brees in this last draft.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But I think hopefully the mobility, the Russell Wilson aspects, a little bit of Michael Vick in there, and still got a stud arm.
Oh, shit. If we're going off Chiefs fans' evaluations, this guy's going to be in the Hall of Fame. They saw 170-yard touching ball in the air, and this guy's
over.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
man.
over.
He's the next coming.
So here's my potential boom. Bust on the Chiefs. Mr. Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
So
I knew
we
you
were
were-
just talking
I
about
knew it.
Kamara. We were just talking about these elite and this, how he does things different. And he's small and he can throw in the slot. He can return balls. He can do whatever. Tyreek Hill is one of those special players as well. But my concern is because the math looks good on Hill. There's no doubt, right? It all adds up. He finished top 5 at his position in 2017. Huge plays, right? But it looks like he is going early to middle of the 3rd round, just outside wide receiver 1
Unless you're in
range.
PPR.
Yeah, unless you're in
PPR, obviously, he's going to be way higher because he catches a ton of balls. Yeah.
But I think the special player that he is, I'm just a little concerned with Alex Smith now going to Washington. Patrick Mahomes being the new guy. Mahomes' skill set is great for Hill, but still second-round quarterback on the team that just lost their offensive coordinator to Chicago. Okay,
yep.
So there's a couple of concerns there, and it's not that Tyreek stinks. I just think there's some growing pains, just like we talked about Buffalo. Some changes with offensive line. We have some changes with offensive schemes now. Totally different.
Yep.
So, and I think their previous one that went to Chicago was, pretty creative. And I think Hill is a creative kind of guy, and he can be in that role. So, a concern.
I'm gonna go with a guy staying in the AFC West here. Obviously, big rival of the Broncos. I'm gonna go with Jordy Nelson down in Oakland. That's a guy that I'm gonna stay away from.
Yeah.
If you've been reading the newspapers, if you've been
100%.
reading reports, reading headlines, John Gruden saying. If you don't know, Jordy Nelson's 33 years old.
Yeah.
John Gruden's saying he looks 28. His routes are crisp. He looks polished. He looks ready to go. I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying it.
I think the Raiders are going to be a disaster this year. I think they'll be lucky to win 5 games. I think John Gruden's style is too old for what the modern day NFL is. I think they're going to get eaten up there in Oakland. This is a guy, even Derek Carr. I would say Derek Carr is going to be, he's my top bust as far as fantasy football quarterbacks.
Huge potential bust.
Yep.
For me as well.
So I'm gonna stay there, and I'm gonna say Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson's the guy that I would avoid. I would stop reading the headlines. I would stay away from Jordy Nelson, especially he's going pretty high. A lot of people have Jordy Nelson higher up on their board, and I think it's because they think John Gruden's going to be able to come in and use him in a certain way. At the end of the day, he's a 33-year-old receiver. Very rarely are 33-year-old receivers productive. They're definitely not going to be your number 1. I wouldn't put him as my number 2. Nope. Maybe he's a number 3 guy, a guy you stash on the bench to see how he does. You get him in the later rounds, but let somebody else take a guy like Jordy Nelson early. It's not a guy that I would draft even in the top 8 rounds. You know what I mean?
Same.
It's just not a receiver that I would target to make one of the staples or the cornerstones of your fantasy squad this year. I don't think the targets are going to be there, and I think the Raiders just overall aren't going to be that good.
Right. Yeah,
So-
I totally. Yeah, no, I think you're totally right, and I think the injury stuff that Jordy's had to deal with, and it was a knee, correct? The last one
Yeah.
with
Yep.
Jordy. So concerning with that and his age, I don't see it.
What about Brandon Cooks? How you feeling on Brandon Cooks? Where did he go
Brandon
in
Cooks
your?
is going pretty high.
I know.
Yeah,
I think too high for me too.
Yeah,
Too high.
He went in the 2nd round.
Whoa.
He went in the 2nd round. I can't remember because I don't know any of these guys.
Shut up. He went in the
He
second
went
round.
in the 2nd round. He
Oh
went,
my! What a reach!
He went after. God, I think somebody picked him up after Julio.
Wow.
Because Julio went in the 2nd round, and I think somebody picked up Cooks in the end of the 2nd round. Yeah. So for me, I like Cooks, but if I could get him in, you think he'd last till the 4th?
Dude, I'm having him about 6th.
Really?
I put Cooks about 6th, about around 60 to 65 overall, somewhere in that range.
Interesting.
6th round. I wouldn't take Brandon Cooks before that. I think honestly, I consider Cooks more of a number 3 fantasy receiver where I'd put Nelson.
Yeah.
I don't consider that guy a 1 or a 2. I don't know. I think the Rams are going to rely more on that defense this year than they are on the offense. I think the offense will do some good things, but again, they have a lot of weapons.
Yeah.
I don't think just a lot of mouths to feed over there. Cooper Kupp, Todd Gurley, Robert Woods. I just don't see Brandon Cooks being a top 2 or a 1 or a 2 receiver. I'd put him at a 3, and I wouldn't take him until about the 6th round.
Yeah. Totally.
That's just me personally. We're a little over an hour into the podcast here. We're about an hour 15 in. So let's go ahead and try to wrap this up, man. I think we're probably good. Do you have anything you want to finish up on fantasy football or anything like that?
Fantasy? No, I think we're good, giving people something to look forward to and something to keep an eye out on. But yeah, I think I'm good.
You're good on that. All right, let's get into let's end on some good news, man. Let's get into a couple little good news stories here, a couple little tidbits, if you will. Did you see? Well, let's just stick with NFL first.
Okay.
J.J. Watt. Did you see all the stuff that J.J. Watt was able to, you know how he gave back to charity, gave back to the whole Houston relief, right?
Man, he was huge with that. Yeah.
So kind of it came out this morning that how much money was raised. Do you know the final amount of money raised?
Millions, but no, I don't remember the...
What about, let's check with our fellow JJ. Do you know how much money was raised? No, okay, he doesn't know shit. Anyway, I'm just playing. $41.6 million was raised for this GoFundMe that he set up for Houston. That's 208 times what he set out to raise. If you remember, he set out to raise 200,000.
Right.
Hey guys, can I get 200,000? This went to 41.6 million. Let me tell you how this was divvied up. This was given. These funds have been used for cleanup, repair, building of 600 plus homes, recovery and building of 420 plus daycare centers, as well as after school programs, which served 16,000 plus kids. They distributed more than 26 million meals to families in Houston.
Wow.
Physical and mental health services to 6,500 plus people, and then the distribution of medicine to 10,000 plus patrons. That's awesome, man.
That's incredible.
That is. Can we just get an applause?
Incredible.
I don't got the sound working here yet, but we just can get an applause for Man of the Year. Walter Payton, Man of the Year.
Yep.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Easy choice. J.J. Watt, man. A big shout out to J.J. Watt for all that he did in the community. I wonder why. Do you know why that took off the way it did? Do you know? Was it because of J.J. Watt? What if it would have been DeAndre Hopkins? What if it would have been the coach down there, Bill O'Brien? What if it would have been someone else in the Houston area, James Harden? Do you think it would have gone 41? What's the reason for that? Why did it go 41.6 million?
I don't think so, man. I think J.J. Watt, that hometown hero, right? The Houston.
God, I love that guy.
And I'll tell you, his work ethic, and he's passionate, and he's that next door neighbor kind of guy. Like, I can talk to this guy. Like, when you think of celebrities and you think of how unreachable they are, I don't feel that way with J.J. Watt.
Right.
Like, if I saw him down the street, I could be like, "Hey, man, how's your John Deere, man?
Yep.
How's your brothers, man? Did you guys eat, 1,500 calories
Such
today?"
a down-to-earth guy. Was it last year that Houston Texans were on Hard Knocks, or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
I don't remember. I don't remember for sure, but I know that when Houston Texans were on Hard Knocks a few years back or last year, whatever it was, they obviously showed J.J. Watt quite a bit. He's a big star down there. Man, he just seems like a guy you'd want to go kick it with.
It's
one
good
of
old
the
boy.
coolest guys. His brother is now in the league. He's super, super cool. His little brother, he's also in the NFL. I forget which team. Oh, Pittsburgh Steelers. He's down there rushing off the edge for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He's the tight end?
No, he's oh no, wait, is he fullback? I don't remember. I need to look that up. But anyways, his little brother's in the league. Yeah. It showed him down there golfing with his brother, hanging out with his family, doing charity work, signing autographs for fans. He just seems like a very, very cool, down-to-earth guy. Yeah. I don't remember. Gosh, I wish I remembered when they did. Was last year Houston? I just can't. I can't put my finger on it. I don't remember. Let me see if I can find it here. Are you looking it up right now?
No, I was just kind of reading all about J.J. Watt and kind of his relief.
T.J. Watt plays linebacker. He's a linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but his brother Derek Watt is also now in the league, and he's a fullback with the Rams. That's what it is. Yep. A lot of I forgot. I knew they were both in the league, but I think so. Let's jump into the other news story here. Did you hear about Birdman coming on stage last night?
Chris Anderson? Freebird?
No, Birdman. What happened to that boy?
Gotcha.
Birdman, young stunting like my daddy. Birdman, Lil Wayne. At the lead, obviously Dallas is being funny over here, Mr. Jokes. Chris Anderson from the Nuggets. Oh my God, with the mohawk, the big net tattoo.
I saw him a couple days ago at the 7-Eleven.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Put it on our friendship. Where? Which one?
The 7-Eleven off of Dry Creek in Chester.
Did he have his big truck and shit?
No, he drove. It was the Dodge Charger or Challenger, all green, super sick rims, the whole thing. Just
that's crazy. No,
but go on with the real Cash Money man.
Cash Money Birdman. He actually went on stage last night at the Lil Louisiana Festival. That's a little thing. He has this thing called the Lil Louisiana Fest, and Birdman actually came on stage, which was very surprising to everyone, and he issued a public apology to Lil Wayne.
Really? So
this is a great feel-good story as well. It's always good to see a couple legends in the game getting along. I know a lot of people don't really have that much respect for Birdman because he's not a great rapper, let's be honest. I mean, He's never came with bars. Him and Manny Fresh were a great duo when they were. I would love to see him and Manny make up.
But he could run a label.
He can run a label. Yeah. He can screw people out of some money.
Hell yeah, he can.
From what we've heard, allegedly.
That's for sure.
So what he said, he came on stage and he said, I'm gonna go ahead and there's quite a few M words in here, so I'm gonna replace those with homies just because it's not my style.
Correct.
But to be home fucking with my son, I love that homie to death. I don't know what y'all know, but I know what I know, and what I know is that I live by what I know. Some very good words there from Birdman.
That's moving.
I knew this day was gonna come, but I didn't know when it was gonna come. Okay. But this homie right here is the realest homie and the illest homie, and I want to apologize to my homie worldwide to let him know that you heard me and that homie put his life in my hands, and I'm going to keep it real. We're going to do this shit until the day we die. YMCMB till death.
All right.
He said that on stage in front of the whole Louisiana Fest yesterday. So I don't know if everything is officially signed, sealed, and delivered, and it's over with, and the beef is good, and they're going to start kissing each other in the mouth again. I don't know. I honestly don't know if that's going to occur, but here's what I do know. When Birdman came out there, that takes a real man to publicly apologize and say, hey, I fucked up in front of everybody at Lil Wayne's Louisiana Fest. I think that's great. It's a good look. Now, does it make up for all the other bullshit that we know that's gone on with Cash Money and all the other stuff behind the scenes? There's too many stories to mention here at this point in the podcast. Right. But nonetheless, we know that's why him and Manny Fresh split. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of behind the scenes stuff with Birdman. So shout out to Birdman. I do think it's a good step in the right direction. I've heard Lil Wayne is still on Cash Money. I've heard he's not still on Cash Money. Right. I don't know what the deal is there, but it's good to see that they're making up and hopefully taking steps in the right direction and kind of patching up their friendship there. Totally. So we'll kind of end on that, man. Anything more you want to throw out before we jump into the end of before we jump in? I don't even want to say anymore. Before we wrap up the podcast here.
Hey, aside from respect my name.
Put some respect on my name.
Respect on my name. Aside from that, I just had one thing. So the U.S. Open, the tennis tournament.
Oh, yes.
Just started today out there in Flushing Meadows, New York.
Yep. You're a big tennis guy. I'll follow it here and there. I get into the final rounds. You get into everything. Well, you take days off of work and shit. You're in front of the thing binging the U.S. Open tennis tournament like you used to play tennis in high school or some shit.
And I did.
Did you really?
I went to state all 4 years. So tennis runs heavy with me. But there's a little bit of news on Miss Serena Williams, who obviously just had the baby and that whole thing, and she's trying to make her comeback. Nike even came and had her back. But long story short,
I read a headline about this. Yeah, tell me about this. I want to hear about this.
The French Open officials essentially revised the dress code of what people could and couldn't wear. And they decided to go ahead and ban or prohibit Serena Williams' what they call cat suit. So Nike designed this cat suit essentially to help her abilities and performance, and also her recovery time. So this cat suit is just a very non-traditional kind of garb for tennis, but it's kind of like a bodysuit.
If you're watching on the YouTube channel, maybe we could put that up on the screen so you can see what the hell we're talking about.
So it looks like a bodysuit, but essentially what happened was the French Open decided to ban that. So
was this now? Tell me was this something that she was wearing previously? Had she been wearing this at other events already?
She's been wearing this since the early 2000s.
Oh shit! So I'm trying to think, in my mind. I have no idea what this looks like, but I'm trying to think cat suit. I don't remember. You show me a picture.
Yeah, so kind of like a full bodysuit.
Oh, and they traditionally wear those skirts, right?
Yeah,
she's been wearing that.
She's been wearing on
Is it
and off
full on
since,
pants?
No, it goes to like knees, I believe.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like a yoga pant. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So essentially,
So she's been wearing that, and now they're not letting her wear it anymore.
You got it.
Are they banning? Did they change the dress code because of Serena Williams, or is this something that they were just going to change before? What do you think?
I think they just were. All of a sudden, I to be honest with you, I don't really know. I think it's my opinion says that they didn't like her wearing it, right? Because again, it's kind of non-traditional. So why did it take this long? Because she's been wearing it since the early 2000s. I don't know. But I have her tweet, and what she came to and said about it was like, everything's fine, guys. When it comes to fashion, you don't want to be a repeat offender. So she handled it really well. And the other thing I liked about it, Nike came to her rescue a little bit and had some support for her. And
nice.
What they said...
She's been such a class act forever, man.
And she's been Nike sponsored for years,
Love
maybe even
Serena.
since the beginning of her career. Nike says directly with their Twitter, they said, you can take the superhero out of her costume, but you can never take away her superpowers.
That's tight.
Hashtag just do it. So,
That's
they
tight.
obviously have her support. Nike came out and addressed it. You also have some other celebrities, for instance, Billie Jean King, which I'll get into here in a second. They love her. Steve Nash came out and says, love the black cat suit at
Nice.
Serena Williams. So she has a lot of support. She's awesome.
Very
she
cool,
is
man.
the GOAT.
Very
When
cool.
it comes to women tennis, there is no doubt she is the GOAT, and I'm looking for a major comeback from
That's
her
awesome.
this year. So
Yeah, that's super cool. What's the Billie Jean King stuff?
Billie Jean King, professional tennis player from way back in the day.
Yep.
Right?
They made a movie about her recently about that whole
2017. I think it was last year. Actually,
Battle of the Sexes or
You
something like
got
that. What was it called?
So the movie, I don't think it was called that, but the movie was based off of the Battle of the Sexes match in 1973, I believe.
Okay.
Let me check my facts on that. And
Did you ever see the movie? I mean,
no, I didn't see the movie. I didn't.
You didn't? You weren't?
I think it was Emma Watson that played Billie
it
Jean
was
King.
Emma Watson and Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, you bet.
Mr. Steve Carell himself.
Yeah, so it was a battle of sex matches in 1973, and it was Billie Jean King versus Bobby Riggs. Bobby Riggs was this, kind of, I'm a man's man, you know, and there was, he was not the biggest advocate of women and that kind of thing. That's, and what happened was Billie Jean King actually won that match.
Yeah.
And Bobby Riggs kind of came back and said, I should have practiced more. I should have just thought that she was going to be bigger than what she was.
1973, that was going down.
Her.
That's crazy.
So before the Me Too movements, before the feminism, that kind of stuff.
Did he end up being nice to her afterwards? Did he did he praise her and give her all the credit
and
and shit?
It took a few years from what I researched, but I can't remember when he died.
Oh,
but,
so it wasn't something that he did right away after the match?
No, I mean, he obviously shook her hand and said, hey, I underplayed how good you were, and I should have taken this more serious. Those words, and not in that direct context, were addressed.
Used, yeah.
But at the end of it, as he was passing away, he actually said, "I love you." They both had really "I love yous" and good things to say to each other before he passed away. So
wow.
We really showed the world something. And so I think he kind of came around years later and was really pumped that they did that for the.
How's that tying into this year's U.S. Open?
So it's funny because I believe it's the 45th anniversary.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So that's number one. And number two, Adidas actually came out with a Billie Jean King model. So they released, so you're familiar with the new AM4s,
Yep.
the Speed Factory shoes, right? So they actually did they did 300 pairs of the Billie Jean King AM4 BJK.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
so
tight.
they did
That's
that,
dope.
and those actually launched today. So those people who are hearing the podcast tomorrow, they launched on Monday. There were 300 pairs. They were launched on Adidas website, and they also had a pop-up at the U.S. Open where you could
very
score
cool.
this shoe. So
Nice.
I obviously missed this morning. I tried to get them, and
Missed out.
sold out, missed out.
300 pairs.
I'd love to have that. I'm not a big fan of Billie Jean King. Like, I love what she did. I love what she stands for. The feminism, the Me Too. She's really, really in that, and I think she's done a lot for
they
women.
women's? Are they all women? They're women's model?
No,
So-
I think they're unisex.
No shit.
They're a unisex model. So
But there's only 300 pairs.
correct, and I don't know what the
Man,
biggest size is,
right.
but even on the tongue it says one of 300 pairs. And there's a NFC barcode that you can scan to know which numbered pair yours is, because it doesn't say
That's
on the
dope.
shoe. So there's some cool technology to them, but they look like a run through time mid.
Yeah.
If you remember that color, so a hyper royal color, white boost, of course, but really, really nice shoe and very
Sweet,
well
man.
done. So
That's
that's
cool.
what I would have to say about the U.S. Open. So a lot of good stuff that starts today. You got the Serena stuff. Hopefully she's going to make her comeback. You got Billie Jean King. You got the 45th anniversary.
Nice.
A lot of good things going on with tennis
That's
right
cool.
now.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. It gets me a little bit excited about it. And I'm not even a big tennis guy. Like I said, I watched the final rounds, but I'm not into it as deep as you are. That's cool, though.
Well, and I'm hoping Federer also kind of comes back. And
I wonder how many people know about that Billie Jean King sneaker. And also, I wonder if it's something that the people that copped it,
Yeah.
if they think it's going to have big resale value and maybe within the first week it doesn't, and so they lower the price and maybe you'll be able to snipe for really cheap and then it'll go up later on.
Because these hype beasts, these people that have the bots and these add to cart services, those are the ones who got all the pairs.
Right.
So we can see what happens, but I'd love to have a pair just to collect. I may not even wear it. It's just kind of that significance meaning to
Oh,
me.
I wouldn't.
I'm
Yeah,
a tennis guy.
for sure.
You know, growing
You
up.
had the Federer, Jordan 3 tennis joints.
Yeah, you got it, man. So
yep, you've been in the tennis
huge
game
for
there.
me. But that's kind of, so there's a lot of good to that. So, you know, as we end,
Dope, man.
share
Yeah.
that story.
So what I will say, we'll keep you updated through the socials. If we're gonna have another podcast later on in the week, like I said, it may be dropping a little later than Friday, maybe Saturday, something like that, if we can work it out. If not, we'll see you guys again next Tuesday for the podcast. Also, DraftKings, man, if you guys want in on the DraftKings League, make sure you shoot me your username, DM through Twitter, Instagram, hit us at mostunderratedpodcast@gmail.com, mostunderratedpodcast@gmail.com, so we can get you in the DraftKings stuff. We're a couple weeks away, but don't wait till the last minute. I want to make sure we have everyone set up for week 1. And it's just going to be a tournament that goes all day. We're just going to do all day Sunday. Yeah. We're not going to do morning slates, afternoon slates, and get all crazy. I'll probably play those myself, but for ours, it'll just be an all day tournament slate there. So if you want in, shoot me your username. Other than that, man, it's the Most Underrated Podcast, and we will see you fools next week, Friday, tomorrow, sometime, man.